Hello students, hope you all are safe and doing well at homes. Now as we have discussed about multiple inheritance and the ambiguities that may arise in the form of data members and member functions because we have more than one base classes in multiple inheritance. So moving further into it, today we will discuss about another problem that is called diamond problem. So let us first look into what is a diamond problem. Okay, so we know that in inheritance we have is a relationship type of situation. Now, consider this example where we have a person class and we have two more derived classes out of this person class, and they are student and faculty. Again, we have another derived class that inherits student and faculty as its base class. So what we have discussed in last class that the teaching assistant that we have in our institution, he or she may be a student because he or she is learning something. Now again, this teaching assistant also plays a role of a faculty because he or she is assigned some duties to take laboratories and tutorials, etc. Now again we can think of that this TA, whether it acts as student or it acts as faculty, ultimately a TA is a person. So this could be means we can model this type of situation in a form of hierarchy, and there is a relationship like a TA is a student, again a TA is a faculty, and ultimately the TA is both student or faculty, a TA is a person. So how do we write in the form of our class notations? Obviously first we will have the class person as the root class, then class student, which is inheriting person publicly. Again we have class faculty, that is inheriting person publicly. Then we have class TA, that is inheriting student and faculty, both of them as in a public mode. So what happens if we look into the object layout of this situation or this diamond problem? So what happens when we know that we create the object of the derived class. So here we have TA class as the means leaf node as the derived class, and we have two more levels here, student faculty at one level and again person in the higher level. So what is happening when we are creating a TA object, or rather we are constructing a TA object? What we have learned that whenever we create a derived object, it consists of an instance of the base class. This we know, we all know this thing, we have discussed these things. So what happens when we construct a TA object? Obviously since it is inheriting faculty and student classes, so it will have one instance of faculty and one instance of student. Now again what happens, the faculty is inheriting the class person, as well as student class is also inheriting class person. So again this in turn, when we have one instance of student in TA object, the student will have one instance of its base class, that is the person class. Similarly, whenever we have a faculty as an instance in the TA object, so this faculty has another instance of its base class, that is person. So what we are getting two instances of the root class, that is class person in this case. Now I have written this in the form of a CPP program, and I'm showing you the program itself. I don't know whether it is visible or not. Maybe not. If it is not, you tell me, I'll be sharing the slides with you in your group email ID. So what happens when I execute this code, when I create the TA object, as you can see that in main I'm creating one TA object, okay, and I'm passing one parameter, and here the constructors are there. So when this program is executed, I get the result as person is first because I have also means printed what it should print in the form in itself in the constructor. So at first it prints person, then it prints faculty, then it prints person again, then student, then TA. And this is very obvious because whenever we are creating a TA object, by default it will create one instance of student, and student itself will have another instance of person. Similarly, it will have an instance of faculty, and the faculty in turn will have another instance of person. So here we can see that person instance gets created twice. Certainly this is not a desirable situation that we want. Why should we have more than one instance in a particular situation like this? So this is certainly not desirable in case of inheritance. So then what should we do? This is very easy to solve this type of problem. What we do, we just introduce the keyword virtual whenever we are inheriting a base class. Now here person is the root class. Whenever we are inheriting person in the derived class, like in class faculty we are inheriting person, so we just add the keyword virtual before preceding the public keyword. It doesn't matter, you can also write virtual after public also. Either way it works, but it tells the compiler that the class person is inherited virtually. Okay, what does it mean? It means that the compiler will know that there is some specialized class, some other specialized class that is also going to inherit this person class. Okay, so what is the what is the benefit that we get from it? So what happens, we see as we execute this program, we are just doing what we are inheriting the person class in the virtual in the virtual mode. So again person class is inherited virtually for class student also, and when we do execute this code, we get as the output that person instance is created only once. So what happens when we do this? The system itself constructs one instance of the root class. And how do the system do that? Here you can see that I have written a default constructor for the person class, because whenever we are inheriting person class in as virtually, so the system tells that do not create the instance of person in faculty. Wherever it is virtually inherited, do not create the instance in that class, that derived class. So the system will not create an instance of person in faculty class. Again, since this has been virtually inherited in student class also, the system will not create an instance of person in student class. Rather, it will create one common instance of class person. And this has been done by introducing the default constructor here. This is because we want it to be automatically done, and thus we get only one instance. The output is person, then faculty, then student, then TA. Now you might be asking me the question that what if I want a parameterized constructor for person class, that is I want to use these constructor person int x. What should I do then? Because by default only the default constructor will be invoked for person class. So there is a very simple solution for this. All you need to do is you explicitly call the constructor of person class in TA, and you pass the parameters in that. Okay, so this will what it will do, it will first invoke the constructor of person class, and then according to this list it will invoke the constructor of faculty class, and then the constructor of student class. And hence we can see that the person class constructor has been invoked, which is the parameterized constructor, and then the faculty constructor we have the student constructor, and then the TA constructor. So this is how the problem of the diamond problem is solved. So in this it should be noted that where we are inheriting the base class as virtually, virtually. So these classes, faculty and student, here we have inherited person class in the virtual mode. So these classes are called virtual base class. This class faculty and student are called virtual base class. Okay, so this is a very little bit about diamond problem. There are advanced topics on this, how you can make the polymorphic type out of this. So that I'll leave it to in my next lecture. Okay, thank you.